All right, and we will get rolling. All right, everybody, we'll call the meeting to order. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Approve the minutes of Tuesday, October 29th. It was a regular board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion on those minutes? All right, hearing none, so moved. Board correspondence, communications, anything we need to talk about? You know? I haven't got
I
anything.
haven't seen any emails to the full board.
I haven't seen anything. Okay. Public comments. I don't believe we have any public on, right? All right. Okay. Jamie, look at that. Right to you.
You guys are trucking along.
Trucking right along tonight.
So you have my report in hand. I also shared with you the Agency of Education's memo that they put out in regards to their, like data review and thoughts around the future of ed financing. So if you have a chance, you can review that. I would say to you, this came out at a time where really the commission has not issued a report yet, right? They've been working on drafting a report. And of course, there's membership from the agency on the commission for the future of public education. But my sense is the timing is such that it was absolutely intentional for the agency to deliver their report prior, I think, to the commission finalizing theirs, to make certain that the administration had gotten out in front in regards to communicating what their thoughts are in regards to how to address some of the sustainability concerns of education funding in the state. So I would suggest that if you can take the time in the coming weeks to go ahead and review that. I do think that the media did a nice job over the weekend of summarizing their key points out of the report. But I do think it is worthwhile to dig into it. And, frankly, what seems to be picking up momentum, at least of what I'm gathering around conversations, is possibly more consensus around trying to move to a foundational formula in the coming years. I don't think that that's going to be something that they suggest that we pursue this coming year, meaning FY26, but that we are building toward that within the next couple of budget cycles. And, certainly one of the things I think that needs to be well thought out is how do you address foundational formula when also taking into consideration the Brigham decision and why we were where we were with Act 60 to begin with. So I think that's going to be part of what the legislature and frankly the commission is going to need to continue to work on in the coming year. But I do think there is more of a growing consensus in Montpelier that is something that needs to be looked at and strongly considered. So that is certainly part of what comes out in regards to the agency's memo. The other things before I take questions that I just want to highlight before we get to this, because I'm a little worried I could lose you all, is that the administration and I just got done a meeting with Health Hub and Dr. Miller, a pediatrician out of Royalton, in regards to kind of reinvigorating our work in regards to providing a pediatrician access at all of our schools. And that's something that we've had for over 2 decades, specifically in the White River Unified District, and had expanded out into the First Branch District some. But as a whole, as a supervisory union, we have not had regular, predictable pediatricians in our buildings over the last 2 decades. Frankly, some districts have had more access than others. we're really working on now ensuring that we have pediatrician access across all of our schools in the event that we have students who need access to a pediatrician. And so we're doing this two ways. One, partnering with Health Hub and Dr. Miller's office, but also partnering with Gifford. And I mentioned in my report, I am contemplating possibly, Gifford is very interested in having an educator representative on their board as they look to continue to pursue partnerships with the greater community. And when I took an inventory and stepped back, I mean, we do have Gifford offices in a majority of our communities that we serve here in the White River Valley. So how could we look to utilize some of their resources as well? Of course, they are facing some of the same challenges that we're talking about in regards to school funding as part of the Vermont Hospital Network. So it does seem like there's some similarities to what we are combating in schools to also what they're combating as a federal primary provider of emergency medical services here in the White River Valley. So I just wanted you to know that work is happening and that we plan to really do a lot of behind the scenes work to strengthen this. And I wanted you to know Mary Schell is supporting these efforts, and I really do feel good that it's going to help strengthen our comprehensive system of supports here in the coming months. And I felt like, and Anna and Annette and I haven't even gotten to process this yet, just even having Dr. Miller in with our principals, I think really helped remind our principals there is a real, there's a desire to partner here to intensify supports for our kids. So I think we could build some really good momentum there. So I just wanted to highlight that. I also wanted to I'm going to try to do a better job through pictures at the full board level to try to capture some more work that's happening in your schools in regards to capstone projects. And actually, the White River Valley High School is actually holding a capstone project informational session and community dinner tomorrow night on the Royalton campus, because all of our seniors right now are currently engaged in the capstone project at the high school, which is really exciting. And I think as we gain good momentum there, that we're going to see that it continues to spread across all of our schools. And of course, that portrait of a learner is what our students are going to be connecting their capstones with around how do I demonstrate these attributes. Okay, so this is a pilot year at the high school. And so more to come there. And then also, I will share this with the greater WVRSU community, but I'm working with the White River Unified District principals, but also Windsor County Sheriff's Office and Royalton PD to have a dinner and community conversation in general on school safety, but also just the greater community safety concerns that have been highlighted in the past few weeks and shared out mostly via social media. In the Royalton community. And so I just wanted the board to know that that community conversation will certainly probably focus a bit on some concerns that Royalton constituents have in regards to some things that they're concerned about, both school related, but also actually just more, again, greater community concern. And I know Bethel's been holding community conversations about concerns they have, frankly, on citizen safety that has nothing to do with the school, but just how could we as a school bring our constituents together to just talk about these concerns around community safety, policing, things of that nature in general. And so just know I am going to expand that conversation to all of our towns, because my sense is that multiple constituents have concerns about this. All your towns, you all now have kids at our high school. That's just a fact. So it does have an impact on all of you. Even Granville Hancock, right, Stacy? I mean, we have Granville Hancock kids coming to our high school. So just know that I'm going to expand this and advertise this across all your communities because, frankly, I think it needs to happen. And we'll see where we go from here. Windsor County is very interested in continuing these conversations. Many of your towns now are actually contracting with Windsor County Sheriff's Office. to support, policing in your communities. I would actually say a majority of your towns now. We're incorporating the Royalton PD, and we'll just see where this conversation goes. I'm going to be meeting with them here in the next week and a half to finalize the planning and details of it. And then, Michael, I will take your question and any others folks may have.
Well, you already answered a bunch of them, so thank you for talking about that meeting with the with Sheriff's Department. I think that's going to be an interesting ongoing conversation. My question is really a request. I'm just wondering how many other board members would be interested in getting that report from the AOE copied and mailed to them. That's a 37-page report. I'm more than happy to copy lots of stuff here on my home printer, but every once in a while it gets a little nuts. But anyway, I'd love to have a hard copy of that. I think it's a really interesting resource, and I think it's the kind of thing we may be referring to, Jamie, a bit as we move forward the next months, year. So anyway, that's a personal request. I don't know if anyone else is interested as well.
Yeah, just send me an email, Michael, so I don't forget that, and then I'll print it off and we'll get that taken care of. I would say that to any board members. If you email me that request, that's just how I best work in regards to making certain I fulfill it.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right. So everybody's got it. If you want that report, email Jamie so he knows that you want a hard copy. Anything else for Jamie? Thank you, Jamie. All right. Anda.
Wait, you had
Oh,
a question.
I did. Who did?
You did, didn't you?
No, I didn't have a question.
Oh, when he was on the first part of the report and he said he'd get back
I was
to you.
letting him know that.
Oh,
She was-
I got you.
We've been
I
in
thought
enough
this
of
was-
these now. I can read Kathy's mind.
In case he didn't see Michael's hand raised, I was trying to let him know it was up
I
there.
knew what she was doing.
Okay. Good evening. I think, yeah, you've got my report. We're working a lot on wrapping up the first trimester with K through 8th grade students. So teachers are working on assessing students against those proficiencies. And for some of our teachers, learning how to use the new report cards within Web to School. And there's some support for them today to do that. For our new teachers who have mentors, we'll have some more on Thursday. They've done stuff at the building level. So hopefully wrapping around teachers on that. And families probably will see those at probably the first week of December. It's broken up a little bit by the Thanksgiving break. So maybe into the beginning of the next week. And other than that, I'm happy to talk about, take any questions.
All right. Looks like we are good on to. Thank you very much. Oh, Bill?
Yeah, it's keeps sounding like I'm repeating myself, but Anda and the whole team, all the things you're doing and digging into, is so impressive that we read this and it's just mind-boggling. I just wanted to point out the educational quality standards project that's going to be hitting all the school systems as of July 1st. And another example where our SU is on top of this and to make sure we understand what and why and how, and don't have to reinvent the wheel, but to do this right. It's a very important initiative by the state, carried out through the district, school districts throughout the state of Vermont. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, and you all, I think as members of VSBA should receive, if you haven't already, a link to the presentation of the EQS session they did last Thursday. I don't know if anyone had a chance to be on that live, but I think both the slide deck and the recording, I haven't received it, but I don't know if it would come out to VSBA first. So I would tune into that. I think the slideshow was a helpful way to just go through how in your roles you might track this and help support it in a way that makes sense for the positions that you all are in. So as it comes out, we can look at whether it makes sense to do something in the board development as we look
good
at
idea.
that agenda. There was a lot there. I didn't take notes on every single slide, so I'm hoping when we get the slides, it'll be a little bit easier to digest. But
Yeah, it was very well done.
Michael?
And I think it'd be helpful, and if I just did it with you, that's fine. But it may be good for the board to if you would be willing to review that new proficiency report card for the middle school, so we're all at least like briefly familiar with it, I think that might be helpful.
Sure. Could maybe just a sense of like are you looking for, like which proficiencies, or I mean, it looks very much like the elementary report card that rolled out 2 years ago in terms of having the priority performance indicators, the 1 through 4 scale, and which, starts at like really beginning to sort of exceeding expectations. And then helping our educators think about where are students at this point in the year, and measure in really sort of assessing them against the expectations for this point in the year. So if we've worked on 1 or 2 of those priority performance indicators, that's what we're assessing them on for fall, and moving on. But I'm happy, and we've got it right for most content areas. And we've got a couple of gaps. I heard from a Spanish teacher today that, is looking for a little bit more support around their proficiencies. When we've got these one-offs, we don't have everything built out there, but for the most part, yeah. So let me know what sorts of information you would like.
Well, I'm just thinking about the fact that we're all probably not as familiar with that as some other folks might be, and even just a brief review of it at a board meeting. So if we're confronted by someone in the community who's not happy with it or is confused by it, we have some understanding and basis to respond.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
And please always send them back to us too, Michael.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to do that. But I just like hearing about, also onto your insights into what you think strong about it, you've just indicated a place that you can already see it needs some further development. So, I'm always just curious your take on it and how you think it's going as well, and what your feedback is, or
Sure.
what your feedback you're getting. So,
No, I will plan for December, but if anything is more urgent than that, I'm happy to send out some information ahead of time.
thank you.
Sure.
All right. And you're up. All right. You all have my report as well. Just, reporting on a new hire. David McCarthy is joining us as a special educator at Tunbridge Elementary School. He comes to us with a lot of experience with cognitive and developmental disabilities. So we're very excited to have David with us. We had also, between when we last met till now, we had a contracted service, a speech pathologist depart, and a wonderful former employee, Cindy, SOP, has graciously come on board to cover 1 day a week of that position for students that are in our younger grade levels, so that we at least don't miss out on that early intervention piece. And I'm working with a company called Huddle Up, which was founded by speech pathologists for speech pathologists. And what they do is they only they're kind of like a contracted company that sends out speech pathologists to school districts and supervisory unions. So I'm working with them to identify a speech pathologist, but it's also been posted on School Spring. So actively looking. And then just a heads up on next month. It was brought up at last month's meeting, it would be nice to have a presentation around some of our alternative education within the special ed department. So I'll do a presentation on that next month. And then I'll talk to you all about child count in January. Any questions?
Nice. Thank you for the update.
Sure.
All right. And
Sarah.
You all have my report. It tells you what's going to be happening during the month of December in the business office, in addition to finalizing audits and getting all of the information from the AOE and the tax department for our FY26 budgets. I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know what year I'm in right now.
so be careful if you ask her a question. You don't know what year it's going to be from the answer. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara.
You're welcome. All right, and Ray.
Okay, bring up my report. And review it real quick here. Haven't looked at it since last week. But a couple of things I'd like to add was we did have a report card training for either teachers new to WVRSU, new to model report cards. And we had several teachers from across the SU participate in that. It went very well. Probably next week, you're going to see last spring's NESDEC report. We never released that because there were problems with it. The fall report is coming up. So after I get through ADM, which is this week and next week, and then long-term weighted average, the submission date for that is December 12th. So we will, again, do our best to convey our structure to NESDEC in a way that hopefully,
This is for population projections.
yes, gets us a good forecast for enrollment going forward.
Just so folks are clear, when Ray talks about NESDEC, that's who we have been working with in regards to providing us our population projections. So we got one from 2 years ago. We had concerns about the data integrity from last year's report that we've been working with them on. So we will be releasing that. We're very hopeful that this year it'll be better dialed in. They are struggling with, frankly, our structure. Meaning that we are a supervisory union. Some of you send students to our high school, and then some of you send students to 39 other schools. And making certain that they're counting those students correctly. Am I making sense for folks where it could be complicated? So that's where it's been we have been an incredibly complicated system for them in regards to projecting, frankly, your secondary students and our high school students accurately.
39 schools.
It's right around there. Yeah.
I can give you a number, Ray, and I can give you a number
Yeah,
in a
this
couple
will be
weeks.
wonderful.
I knew it was 41 at one point. I went down even. Right?
So, but relatedly, we've had internally a graphic to literally visually outlay how the SU relates to the districts, how the districts relate to the schools. And we had a constituent ask for something like that to be available publicly, so we've taken the sparkling looking version we had and revved it up a bit and are hoping to share that publicly later this week.
And just again, so folks realize, like specifically, there are some folks that still think we're a district. Meaning that when we merge, that you're all one district. Not separate districts within a supervisory union. So we're hoping that this graphic better provides folks an understanding of what constituents are what members of which district, how it relates to the SU, and then those of you who have school choice and at what ages you have school choice.
We're just waiting on one final revision. I'd be happy to take any questions in the room or on the board.
All right, thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
I tell them all the time, we can be a district. Just kidding, just kidding.
One budget.
Meaning I'll have constituents from your towns that will call me sometimes wondering why they don't have information. For a good example would be the White River Unified District bond vote, right? There's some assumptions in some of your towns that would be something they would all vote on. Right? And so again, just trying to help educate folks like, no, White River Unified District is a district within the supervisory union. Yes, you absolutely have students via school choice that choose to go there. But your district is First Branch Unified District, right? Like when you vote on that budget and you elect your board members, it's for First Branch Unified District. You oversee Chelsea and Tunbridge schools. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm hoping this visual provides clarity for folks around that, where, you know, folks very meaningfully are saying, I live in Tunbridge, why am I not voting on the bond vote?
Because we have kids that go to
Because
high
we have,
school.
yeah, you all do, right? Like, so it's just, yes. Or I live in Bethel, tell me about this Rochester High School and why I've been paying for it. Well, no, actually, you haven't been paying for Rochester High School, right? Amy knows what I'm talking about. So she's smiling. So I'm just hoping that I just think it has become incredibly clear to me we have to continue to educate our constituents on how our organization is organized.
Yep, I agree. All right. Anything else, guys? Okay.
Sorry, I'm talkative tonight. I take that as a compliment that our SU is working better together. Right? When our constituents are asking those questions, I think they see us more interdependent. So I actually take those as major compliments because they see us working together and think of us more as one where they would have never thought if I lived in Tunbridge that I was going to vote on something in Royalton.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. All right. Policy committee. We have readings on policy C5, C6, and C7. Are they in our packets? Yes. So C5 is the firearms policy. C6 is participation of home study students. And C7 is student attendance. And these were all reviewed by policy committee and moved out of committee, and this is our first reading, Jamie?
Yep.
And this is our first reading at the full board. So, per how we normally do this, everybody take a look at them. If you see anything that you have questions on, would like to see a change, email Jamie or your person on the committee, and we can take it up at our next meeting.
And these were revisions, just so folks know.
Not new policies. Right, they're not new. We already had these policies, but we've gone through and updated them. Any questions on that? All right. White River Valley Supervisory Board Development Committee. We'd like to do action on the proposed plan calendar that you have in your packet. The committee met a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about some ideas around what a calendar would look like on things we could do for around board development. So we have our first pass to you guys in the packet. Have people had a chance to look at it? Do you have questions? Do people know what I'm talking about? All right.
That should be June. We have new board members come on.
All right, so if people are in favor and don't have changes or thoughts about changing it, we would love to vote and pass this through tonight.
Yeah, the who's.
So can I get a motion?
I move.
And do I have a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion on the SU board development calendar proposed? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. And are there any nays? All right, hearing none. We will keep you posted as we get things scheduled and tap people that we might need help with getting it running. So thank you.
And I do think we can squeeze EQS into this work as well, just so you know.
Nice. All right, draft number 2. So for discussion items tonight, we have a draft number 2 under of FY26 budget.
So changes since draft 1. I can't remember now if I had.
The change in the health insurance.
Thank you. I was trying to remember if that was in this draft. So original projection, as I discussed in most of your board meetings already, was 18% for group health insurance. When VHI released their rates, it was 11.9. So I've made those adjustments. And then the only other major adjustment in this draft versus what you saw last time is we moved the behavioral analyst position from a contracted position within the special education budget to a contracted service.
And
Because-
not the full amount.
Right.
Yeah. because we've been unable to fulfill that and would need to utilize contracted services for that. So that's the only two major changes. Otherwise, what I've done on the line by lines is made any adjustments that were necessary based on the unaudited FY24 financials if we needed to increase or decrease what was the budgeted for each of the individual line items. Workers' compensation used to be one single line item under central office. I broke that back out by department or by function code. And then in the FY25 budget, the child care tax was rolled into the FICA in the budget. So because we didn't have the codes and everything when we were building the budgets until that came into effect on July 1. So in FY26, you'll actually see there's now a line item for the child care tax. So at the SU, and Jamie, please feel free to interrupt if you want to.
Just people, just before Tara goes over the overview, just so you know, within the special ed budget on page 1, where you're going to see the changes, we were carrying under special ed teacher salaries a 1.0 behavioral specialist position, which we've been attempting to fill all year. And we haven't been able to, so we've been needing to contract services to get that filled. So instead of that position being carried there with salary and benefits, what you're going to see on page 1 within the special ed budget, same section at the bottom of the page, Tara's put in a note that you'll see an increase of $31,500 for contracted services. That's an added behavioral contract to provide us those FBA services. Functional Behavioral Analysis Services. So you'll see that footnote. Tara's done a nice job of indicating that there. But that wasn't just added without, just know that there's actually a net savings between the subtraction, even with the addition of the contracted service.
So right now for central office, overall budgeted increase is just shy of $205,000, which equates to a 9.54% increase. And then I gave you the projected assessment, but again, we're using the FY25 percentages for that with the FY26 budget because I won't have the supporting factors until we've completed average daily membership and got the numbers that we need from the AOE to actually plug them into our assessment formulas. So it's based on FY25 percentage, what it would look like for the FY26 budget. That first page is for central office. And then we move into the special education, and Jamie went over that major change. So on the special education budget, overall increase is $430,000, which equates to 5.35%. And then that last page is what the projected assessment would look like using FY25 figures for percentages.
You know, questions, thoughts? How are we feeling about a 9% increase for SU? I mean, I think that's you need to hear from us, right? Are we?
Yeah. This would be the time. Like if
So if
folks were like, we got to get that to X, then that's what we would go back and show you what those cuts would be.
Michael,
Jamie, what do we think the what is that December 1st letter? Is that the governor's letter, the tax letter, whatever? Is there an indication of what it is they want people to hold spending to, right? Am I thinking of the right?
So the 12-1 letter is where we get the projected yield from the tax department. We get the projected non-residential tax rate. We get the projected income yield. We are supposed to get the new projected statewide common level of appraisal average, which now goes into our FY26 funding formula. And then we also, on December 1st, we get from the Agency of Education the numbers that we need for preschool tuition, vocational tuition, on behalf dollar amount that we calculate based on your 6 semester averages. So we get multiple documentation that comes in on 12/1 that are all factors that we have to actually complete the budget.
Okay, but none of that includes recommendations from the governor on.
No.
No.
No, that would be separate.
We had to file with the AOE last week what our projected increases are for education spending for the yield calculation. That's the extent of what we give them to help contribute to that formulation.
Yeah, Michael, I've not heard of any mention thus far from the administration that they're coming out with a hard cap.
I'd be surprised if they don't.
Well, they may, but that will result in it. That's where we probably won't know whether the legislature even acts on that,
Yep.
right? Until later in the session. The legislature would have to act on that. They did put in some caps in regards to allowable growth. And remember, in regards to in the yield bill, if you go over excess spending, but we're not projecting any of your budgets to come close to going over excess spending.
Right.
But no, there very well could be, like, you know, which we've had in other times in the, throughout my tenure, certainly, we've had governors call on, at their address, like the State of the State address, call on caps to education spending in January. But I have not heard of any hinted cap at this point.
Nor have I.
Tara says she hasn't either.
Yeah, I just think anything that approaches 10% is going to draw attention. I'm not suggesting that you all haven't done your absolute best, because I know you have. It's a big number.
Yeah, I just think as a board, you gotta give us some direction. I mean, I don't foresee us getting it lower at this point without reducing in force. And at the SU level, just so folks are clear, that's Onda's office, it's my admin assistant, it's Tara's fiscal offices, which I would say are already stretched thin. And then it would be our community school coordinator, that we would be looking at, and possibly we have some money built in that budget to cover our part-time 2 hours a day communication coordinator that Kate McLean's been doing.
Those all seem like pretty important things to me.
Don't misunderstand.
No, I'm not saying. I just want the board to know, like, our SU budget is incredibly tight. So, like, if you said to me 6%, I just want the board to know we will absolutely come back to you with a proposal to get us there. I just know I can't do it without removing staff.
That's how you'd have to get there.
I'm looking at the special education direct instruction budget at 376, and I'm seeing that 151,000 of that is health insurance.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just the kind of thing we need to be prepared to talk to our constituents about. Half, not half, but damn close, right? It's a huge number.
Eric?
And that while it is nice not to have an 18% increase in healthcare premiums, we still have an 11% increase.
Almost 12, yep.
12, really, 11.9. Yeah.
So,
You know, some of these costs are, frankly, the cost of doing business, and to, ensure that we're paying our employees a livable, sustainable wage. So I sorry, what you're hearing is my frustration with sort of the lack of engagement by a number of our politicians into what has been happening for the last 10 years. And, because of what happened last year, all of a sudden the world's coming to an end. And I don't mean to pretend like they weren't huge, tax races. They were. But they were tax races that were in place because we are turning the corner on actually providing services for our students. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, and I mean, essentially, another way to frame it, I mean, in special ed, this budget does propose a decrease of 6 less FTE. Just so we're clear, the behavioral specialist position and then 5 paraeducators.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing. Yes?
Bill's wife's on the phone there.
Yes?
But I'm more than happy if the board's like, could you show us what 6% looks like? We can come back to you in December and say, I'm just making up a number. I'm just saying, we can come back to you and say, this is what those cuts would look like so that you can make an informed decision.
Amy?
The percentage increase is scary. But if you whittled the budget down to the bare essentials to provide services for our students in the level that we currently are, then I support the budget that you're putting forward. Again, it is, that the increase is sizable, but I don't want to see positions being removed. I don't think we can afford it at our SU at this point.
I would agree with Amy. The increase is hard, and we're gonna have to work really hard at selling it again because that's where we're at. I think we've worked too hard to get the positions and the people that we have to change any of that and affect our outcomes and where we're going. I think it would take us backwards, and I don't want to be a part of that.
What was the percent increase last year?
Nancy, I'm usually pretty good at that stuff, but I don't remember off the top of my head for the SU.
I don't have it in this folder.
Oh, well, that's okay.
I know special ed was under 4.
Yeah, I was gonna think it was around 5.
I don't remember what our central office was.
Jamie, can I ask another special ed question? Because if you're looking at Tara's handout on page 1, if you look at healthcare expenses at 151,000 and tuition at 160, right? Those are 2 factors that we don't control, right? And you've eliminated 5 para positions. I think there's an easy way to explain this, but I think we just prepared on how to be in front of that conversation.
I appreciate that.
That makes sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Absolutely.
I mean, it's, 9% is a big increase, but I think it's easily explainable in a way that makes a lot of sense. But I just want us to be prepared to be able to talk about that.
Thanks, Bill.
And one of the areas, and I can work to try to do some homework on this too. Certainly, by our next meeting, I think we could show that our growth in regards to special ed spending versus the state, we've actually been able to hold the line quite well in regards to our early intervention and system of supports. And frankly, I think the investment you all have been putting in pre-K are all paying dividends in regards to keeping our special ed cost at a rate that's been much less than the increase we're seeing across the state. So I'm happy to try to work on some data and charts around that. The agency's actually been working hard to pull some of that data together so that you can see it, and I can incorporate that into my report next month. And I think based on your reactions to it, like that could be helpful information for us to provide in regards to our materials that go out to our public during our annual reports.
And just to clarify, central office is 9%. Special education is 5%. Two different percentages.
Yeah.
Special education last year was just over 3%. I do have that budget printed in my binder tonight, so.
Yeah, but I think your report raises some really important points for us to be able to articulate. So Jamie, I think if you can help us with that, it would be great.
And I also want to remind us that the disconnect between our budgets and the tax rate. Because, we can come in at a budget that's under last year's budget, but the CLA can come around and completely destroy all of the work that the SU is doing to put forth the budget. So one of the things that I still want to sort of see, and we can't because we don't have crystal balls that work anyway, is what these increases actually mean for the tax rate that our taxpayers are going to see next year. And I think, we've been working with some of last year's numbers, and that's great, but those will all go sideways the moment that the tax department comes out with the CLA, and when we see what the yield actually looks like. So again, this sort of to underscore the problem with our funding mechanisms is that we're creating budgets that are completely separate from the actual funding that comes back to the districts.
All right, any other discussion on budget?
No, Eric, that's a good, I do think that's the one point the agencies made and the commissions made is that the timelines don't align well. Like, when we adopt budgets in this state based on, they understand we have to be building them now in order to have them ready for you to approve in January, yet we don't actually ever get all the information we need until January.
All right. Thank you, guys. Do you need us to vote on it?
No.
Not at
No.
this point?
Nope.
Okay. All right, guys. FY25 board goals, update and possible action.
Bill, you want to take the lead on this? I know Andrew did some work on this as well. You're muted, Bill.
All right, how's that better?
Yep.
Good, all right. Hopefully you have our revised proposed goals for the SU board for the current year that we're in, starting last July through June 30th. And we've attempted to make the changes easy to find and to think about, because we've used the same format as we created last year as a team, and the changes are shown in bold. A number of the bold changes are just updates that we're talking, for instance, on our academic, social, emotional goals. This is the 5th year, so we point that out, and also with the strategic plan. And you see those in goal number 1 under support, oversee, and evaluate. Changes or new things that are really important that we're going to need to monitor and support, as shown in goal number 2, support and oversee the development of our new strategic plan. That strategic plan expires at the end of this year. It's been enormously valuable strategically in thinking about what we need to do and base all the things that go into making a coherent and effective organization work. and it forces us to think ahead. And the current plan, I think, was a huge success, but we had something to go. We had a roadmap, and so this goal number 2 is to develop a new roadmap. And whether it's 3 years, 5 years down the road, that's going to be Jamie and his team's recommendation to us. We also are in the process, and will be in the process, of negotiating a new teacher's contract. Our last contract was for 3 years. That expires this June 30th. And so we need to be, and we'll be working closely with the teachers union to have a successful outcome there. The district quality standards, Anna talked about that, but we've got those that are going to be, we're going to need to implement by, again, this next fiscal year. And so our role, again, is to be aware, getting briefings, and being assured that we're going to be prepared to hit those new requirements on the ground and succeed come next year. Number 5, the goal is that we've got enormous, let's put it this way, not only do we have to do the right thing, but we've got to have an infrastructure that allows us to meet the needs and the dreams and quite honestly, our mission, our moral mission to achieve excellence in education and taking care of our kids. And this year we had 2 enormous important initiatives. The one at the high school lost by only 10 votes. We also had an important initiative at Sharon Elementary School. And so goal number 5, what we're talking about here, is that we need, as an SU, to be aware of these important initiatives and to do whatever we can as an SU to have them succeed. And the most one that's stared us all in the face is our flagship high school, where our kids go, and we want to attract students from all over the valley. And so that's something that I think needs to be, or we think that needs to be, articulated and followed throughout the year. What are we doing? What's the next step? And how can we as an SU support that and bring those 2 initiatives to success? The rest of the material is somewhat just updating, but I do want to say that we've got a new communications and outreach plan, and this is under 7, so we need to be aware of that, support that, and get information on how we're doing to fulfill that strategic communications plan. And finally, on number 9, we're talking about being an effective board. And I think we all feel good that we're functioning effectively and as a team. And as I've said before, but there's a lot of data out there that says that highly successful school systems have highly successful and efficient and effective school boards. And so what we do makes a difference. And what we tried to do under number 9 is to have a commitment of what we're planning to do to continue to improve as a functioning board. And one thing you just did and passed earlier was a calendar, so that we've got a strategy on how we can continue to be aware and do the right thing in a timely fashion. And Kathy led the effort, and if there's any questions at all on that or suggestions for amendments or additions or subtractions, please let us know.
Anybody got any? Michael?
Yeah, and I should have raised this before. I apologize. Under number 1, goal 1, the first bullet point, 80% of students will have universal instruction for most of the school year. Is that going to be tricky to quantify when we're looking at most of the school year as not a clearly defined? What does most of the school year mean?
I agree with you, Michael. Well,
It's just not clear. And I don't know that I'm not asking that I'm not one of those people who actually likes pinning something like that way down, but it's vague.
Yeah, okay.
You have a typo on number 7. That 255.
And the only other thing I would say is the second bullet on that same goal 1, it says decrease the number of students in long term. I would say continue to decrease because the SU's done a great job of doing that already. And it's a continued effort. It's not starting from scratch or new.
good idea, Michael. You got that, Bill?
Yep.
Okay. And then Sarah pointed out in number 7, there's a typo. It says 24-255. It would be 24-25. It's just a typo.
Yes.
Okay. And Andrew?
I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the addition of number 5. I think that is really important for us all to support each other in whatever kind of initiatives that the other boards are doing. And, for ours specifically, like I wind up having a lot of discussions with people that are arguments about whether improvements to our high school like actually attract tuition students from neighboring towns and stuff like that. So, if we actually did have voices from some of the other towns that might be sending their kids our way, that would actually be really helpful for, our investing in the school in order to help with those kind of things. So I really think that is a great goal to add and appreciate the thought and whatnot that went into it. So thanks.
Thanks, Andrew. All right, anyone else? So other than a couple of minor changes, is there anything else anyone sees? We want to adopt it tonight or bring it back next month?
That's up to them.
Do you guys want to adopt it with the pending changes that the few changes we have and or do we want to bring it back next month with the changes in it and approve it then? With people's flavor. You guys are all quiet again.
Seems to me that the changes that are proposed are so minor that I would trust you to just do those if we approve it tonight.
Sure. Do you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the WVRSU board goals for 24-25 tonight.
Seconded.
All right. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any nays? All right, hearing none, the board goals are passed. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Andrew.
Bill, I've got a couple ideas how we might be able to address that most. I'll send them to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
And also under 6B. You see it?
Yep.
Target date for the performance, the annual. And Kathy, I think you were going to, we just need to fill in that space there. You see it?
Yeah, I do see it. You and I can, I have a timeline, so.
You had a timeline. I felt like it was by the end of January.
Yes,
Like,
so at February 1st. You can put
Yeah.
February 1st, Bill.
They got it.
Okay.
but would be 26 if that's the case.
Yep.
Or no, it would be 25.
It'd be
Sorry.
25, yeah. No.
I'm in budget land too.
See, you don't know what year you're in.
And speaking of that goal, I was going to put a flasher out is everybody should have an email with a survey.
Yes.
And everybody should fill it out and send it back in. And everybody should tell their fellow board member, tap them on the shoulder to get their homework done. I'm going to be really upset if I only get a very small percentage of these back. By now, we should know the drill. So I'm being the mean school teacher now. Please get them done and back so that when the VSBA messages me back, she can say, your board did 100%. It's amazing. That's what I'm going for. All right. Any public comment? We don't have any public on, so no. Resignation, new hires, anything?
We just did the new hire with
Just
the
that was
special
it?
educator.
Okay.
This is an update.
We need to do an executive session for labor negotiations update.
I think you just need me.
And we'll invite the do I have a motion to move into executive session and invite the superintendent for labor negotiations? And a second?
Second.
All right. Need a motion to come out of executive session with no action taken.